Welcome to the Money Over 50 podcast, brought to you by Dallas Davison and Michael Hogue from Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. This information is general in nature and does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Therefore, you should consider whether the information is appropriate for you and your personal circumstances. If you require personal advice, please contact Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. Here are your hosts, Dallas Davison and Michael Hogue.
Welcome to Money Over 50 with Dallas and Michael. Dallas, here today, you're here to talk about why should it be easy. I don't know if I got the inflection point right there.
I don't actually know.
Why should it be easy? That's probably better. Why should it be easy? So the question mark. It's a question mark, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. the concept of it's a question mark. It's probably the opposite of what you're thinking. So yeah, we talk a lot in this podcast about making things as simple as possible, and that simplicity is really often what you're going for. Anything extra, any complexity, generally doesn't really add much to the bottom line, and sort of is just something that people get caught up in, and trying to make things as simple as possible. And we bang the drum on that constantly about trying to be just keep it simple, stick to the plan, keep it simple. I think what happens though is that people get simple and easy conflated, and it's not the case. And it just got me thinking about this. We just in a previous podcast, you talked about people who have become a client and they've 3 or 4 years ago, and their balance has grown substantially, and some of that has been from rising company prices, and some of it has been from them doing the hard work and often doing more of the hard work than what they needed. Those people, the people that do that, often they take for granted their hard work and go, yeah, well, everyone should do that, so it shouldn't be this easy. The point I'm trying to make here is that it's often not actually doing the things that you need to do to get set up for retirement. Some of them are simple and easy. Some of them are simple and hard. And fitting into that would be for those clients that we're talking about, where they've probably been saving $1,500 a fortnight to put into their super. And so they're going, oh, this is all too easy. Well, not really, because there's a lot of people out there that aren't willing to pay the price and that haven't been willing to put that $1,000 a fortnight or whatever that figure is. People that aren't willing to do that and to make the sacrifices and do what they need to do in order to get where they need to be. For those people, they want it to be easier than what it can be. Yeah, and so I think that's the whole the thesis that I've seen this lately across different areas of my life, which I find really interesting, is that there's no prizes for making things harder than they need to be. There's no prizes for making things more complex than they need to be. But there are also just situations where you go, if you're trying to achieve something meaningful and you're trying to achieve something that is important to you, you have to do the work required. And we want hard and meaningful and important things sometimes, but then we want it to be easy. And I think, why would it be easy? Why would it be if you? So the example that I use here is, I always laugh because I think I've probably told this story in the podcast before about things that are just basic but actually hard. So a good friend of mine, Mullet, who listens to the podcast sometimes, g'day Mullet, he lost about 15 kilos a few years ago. It was just before my wedding, actually. And Nicola's sister hadn't seen him for a few months. Said, geez, he looks great. He's lost so much weight. Good on him. And she said something like, how's he done that? I said, I think he's actually just eaten healthy food, eaten way less of it, and exercised. Yeah. She went, oh no, I don't want to hear that. I wanted to hear that there was some U-Butte strategy that he's come across where I don't have to. And we laughed about it because she was joking, but sort of not really. It was just going, I wish he'd come across the magic diet pill or something like that. But it made me think, you go, that's a good example of one where that was meaningful and important to him, and it was just hard. It was simple. It wasn't like a lot of things with our health or with our money or with any of these complex systems. It's not that we don't know what to do or that it has to be particularly complex. It's just, don't eat that donut, eat a salad and then go for a walk up the hill. It's not hard. It's not complex, but it is hard. And I think that's the point of I'm seeing that across a lot of different things in my life, and now I sound like a real old timer. But I think my generation, which I'll include myself in, there's a conflation here where it's like we want things, and we want things to happen for us, but there's often an unwillingness to actually take the action required.
Look, I like the point. The analogy that I like to think of is, so even if let's say your superannuation balance is ahead of where it should be 10 years out from retirement, ahead of the average, not ahead of where it should be, ahead of the average. That's like putting together a talented sporting team.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So let's say the money that you're going to put in, and it's hypothetical money at this stage.
Yep.
In the last 10 years of your working life, $1,500 a fortnight, for example, that you're going to put into your superannuation fund every single fortnight for 264 nights. That's the training that sporting team does.
Yes. Yep.
That's the physical conditioning, the skill training, all of those types of things.
Yep.
No one would ever suggest that you could put the most talented sporting team together and they would achieve success if they didn't train for the whole year.
Yep.
If they didn't do any preseason conditioning, if they just turned up out of shape to play, no one would ever. I mean, I think it'd be absurd for even the most, I guess, fanatical supporter,
to think
to suggest that they're going to be successful this season. And that's the way that I think of it in terms of people that aren't willing to give up money on a fortnightly basis or a monthly basis, depending on how they're paid, to put in for the last 10 or 15 years of their working life. Like, you're just not going to get success. And
I guess to kind of, even for people who don't need to, it's only because they've done the work previously.
Look at,
you know what I mean?
The people that don't need to are usually in positions where they're getting paid so much money from the work that they've done in the past, that their employer contributions going in are in excess of the $27,500 concessional
so it's not that they didn't do the work; they just did it. They did it at a different time. They did the training; they just did it differently. So the other thing, I think that's a great analogy, and to continue that, it's the same as the having to sit through those 30-40% drops in your super balance. That's the hard work. So, when you go, hey, you're 10 years out from retirement, good news. We can get your superannuation invested into asset classes that on average will return 8% over the long term. Oh, fantastic. That's great. That's easy. It is easy. However, every 5 years or so, that's going to drop by 30%. And then recover and pick back up to new highs. But you're going to have to sit there and watch your super balance drop by 30% every 5 years. And that's, I think, to some degree, that's almost comforting for people, because then they go, oh, I get it now. I get why. For people who are used to doing the hard yards, that's the analogy. It's like, that's the hard work. The hard work is not the hard work of getting that money. It's not getting that money invested. The hard work is sitting through that and watching that balance drop at times and watching it be very volatile and watching it go up and go down. That's the training that you've got to do. So that's I think a good analogy though is that's the training. Even that team, that ultra talented team of football players, that if they want to achieve something, and I guess that's the point, is if they wanted to play if you had people who'd been playing NRL for 5 years and then they all wanted to drop back and play in the local Townsville Rugby League comp, they probably don't need to do any training.
Yes.
Because they're not trying to achieve anything meaningful or important or to them relative to what they could be doing. So, but I see it everywhere, this concept of, and I mean that phrase, why should it be easy? It's so. I use another example. My wife has just bought a local law firm here, and so that settled a month ago now almost, and it's been pretty chaotic, like any new business, getting set up and keeping everyone happy and involved. Getting it all set up has been a pretty hectic time. Then when you think of it, it was funny because it was only when I was talking about it with a mate and they were kind of going, so yeah, she had her own firm and she was growing that slowly, and now she's had the opportunity to buy this firm, and she sort of jumped ahead probably 5 to 10 years in her career or in her firm that she was building up. So you go, if you're getting to leapfrog 5 years of where you want to be in your business, why would that be easy? Why would you assume that there'd be no work or no pain or no headaches involved in that? If it was that easy, wouldn't everyone just do it? Wouldn't everyone just jump in there and buy a business and do that? So I think that's that phrase now. I'm seeing it everywhere of, we think. I think those are the two things that we're getting conflated. It's simple and easy, and it's the same concept of I will just go out and buy a business. Hey, it's simple. Hey, just go out and you buy a business. Yeah, great. It is simple to some degree, but it's not easy, because if it was that easy, everyone would just do it, and it wouldn't work like that.
Yeah, look, I like that, because it is easy to get those two interchangeable when they're not interchangeable.
No, that's right.
So simple, yes. Our strategies, well, they're simple to us, and they're devoid of any superfluous aspects.
Yeah.
Simplicity for effectiveness' sake.
Yeah.
But it's not easy.
No.
It's not easy. So like we will demand.
Yeah.
We will demand $1,500 on average per fortnight from the average couple.
Yeah.
In the last 260 fortnights that they get paid to go into their superannuation fund. So the plan actually has to have that. Now that is not. That's not for everyone.
No.
Because it's a perfectly valid choice to say, I could be dead and I'm going to go and spend that $1,500 every fortnight.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm going to do something else with it. That's an acceptable choice.
Yeah.
We certainly don't. We demand that everyone that becomes a client of ours puts money in it. I mean, that's an example.
Yeah.
But we don't demand anyone becomes a client.
Yes.
Because if you don't want to do that, and
that's
like we're not we're not we're not the right advisor for you.
Yeah. It is interesting. It's again, I just keep thinking now of examples of where I've been confused. It's a thing that I get confused by, because I go, well, why? And I think I've touched on this before when I was having a couple of mixed martial arts fights, and I was talking to guys in the gym who said, I want to have a fight, and you have to lose a fair bit of weight because it's a weight-based competition, and you've got to train a lot, obviously, to get semi-decent so that you don't get killed. There'd be a lot of people, and I was doing the hard work, and people would kind of go, I think I want to, okay, so what? And they'd go, what do I need to do to get ready? I said, okay, it's pretty simple. All you do is you train for 20 hours a week. You train for 2 hours in the middle of the day and 2 hours every night. And what you eat is a handful of spinach with a tin of tuna on top of it. You eat that twice a day, and you train for 4 hours a day. Simple.
Yeah.
So, and that's a really good example of one where it is very simple. And then people go, no, I meant how can I do it the easy way?
The easy way, yeah. There is
none. If there was an easy way, why do you think that I'd be doing it the hard way?
Look, I think when you opt for the easy way before you have a mixed martial arts bout, it's going to become the hard way very quickly.
Well, that's the phrase is hard training, easy fights. Easy training, hard fights. I think that's. But like most of the people that we're talking to, if you're listening to this podcast at all, you're probably the sort of person that's willing to actually do the hard work. And I think that's probably where it's a confusing message sometimes, because this is actually on a separate rant. The thing that when I read The Barefoot Investor, this famous book that everyone's read, hey, it's great. So I read it, and the thing that really annoyed me about it was that there was sort of an implication that. And what I really liked was that he tried to make it as simple as possible. But in doing so, he then took it a step further and tried to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
And that was where I disagreed. It was basically hey, you got to streamline that. You got to make this easy. You got to have a system with your cash flow so that you are saving something for the future. Yep, great. You simplify things, simple. Use index funds. Do this. Just have one fund. Think of it as great. And then it was the continuation of. Oh, and you probably only need $250,000 to live a good retirement. Hang on, you've taken one step too far there. You've gone simple. It's easy. Well, it isn't easy. If you're trying to accumulate enough money to live on for 30 years, why would you think that would be easy? Like, I guess if you think of it as, we talked before about, we have talked in the past about those people who served in the army for 20 years historically. There was a thing where you served in the army for 20 years and you got a lifetime pension.
Yep.
So people would go, oh, well, that's pretty easy. You just do 20 years in the army. You go and tell that soldier who's, carrying a 50 kilo pack and, serving overseas and getting shot at, and you go, oh, it's easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. Simple. It's simple. You just go and you be a soldier for 20 years and you'll get paid a lifetime pension. That's a very simple strategy.
Yep.
Now, it's like a lot of people weren't willing to pay that price, and that's why only they got that outcome. So I think that's the way that I'd think of it is, whenever you hear us in this podcast, and we're probably guilty of this, whenever we're talking about in this podcast things that are simple, we might say, it's pretty easy, you just do this.
Yeah.
It actually might not be easy.
It's not.
It might be simple.
It might be simple,
but it might not
easy.
be easy. So I think we'll probably try and be more aware of that in the future, of saying whether something is actually simple or whether it's easy. But as you're listening to this, and as you're listening to other people talk about their finances and what they do, be very wary of getting those two things conflated.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Money Over 50 podcast with Money Over 50 financial advisors. For more information and resources, visit the Money Over 50 website, mo50.com.au. We look forward to catching up again soon.